Hey healers, welcome to my channel or welcome back. Our topic today is shadow work and codependency. I am your host. I am Sarada Muladhara, the root chakra goddess. This is ancestral energy healing, and this is what we do here. I'm a psychic medium coach, and one of the things that I specialize in working with my clients is in helping you to increase your personal power. And part of increasing your personal power is using shadow work. Shadow work is going into the parts of yourself that you repress, vilify, and deny in order to pull out the gold that's there. Those are the most creative parts of you, the most beautiful parts of you, and often the parts that society and other people have rejected in us so much to the point that we reject these aspects within ourselves. So if you're here, go ahead and hit that like button. It really helps my channel. It helps my videos get seen. If you want to learn more, make sure you subscribe and stay tuned. What we do here is we empower the psychic energy within us. We empower ourselves to connect with our intuition. And codependency is one of the major factors disconnecting people from intuition. Codependency is essentially like a toxic way of relating to one another where you need one another to stay small and to sacrifice in order to feel good in the bond. It's typically like the normal way of relating that it doesn't seem like most people don't question it. They're like, oh yeah, of course you should do what your mother says. Of course you should live how your father says, even if it diminishes you. Majority of people don't question this and they just do it. And it causes a lot of problems for people within relating because it creates a dynamic in which in order to be involved and be included, the individual can't really bring their full self. There's split apart pieces where we're not all the way there. The process of shadow work and shadow integration brings more pieces of us to the puzzle. So go ahead and drop your city, drop your zodiac sign. If you're here, tell us who you are. Let's talk. Let's chat. What do you want to talk about? What is coming up here for you? So I know sometimes I can get into these topics and people might be like, what is she talking about? Like, what is this? You're going to find out. Stick with me. So I have this fortune cookie and I feel like the fortune is going to be a message for us. So let me open it up. The way I do these conversations is like we just have a conversation and it comes across many different aspects of the topic that we're looking into, and through the conversation we're actually able to free up a lot of emotional energy. So one of the problems that I deal with and that a lot of my constituency deals with is that nobody talked to us enough as children, and maybe still to this day nobody talks to us enough, or we don't get to have enough conversation about the things that really matter. And that's why shadow work is so important, because if there's parts of you that you repress and you don't show to other people, they're not going to know that those parts are in there. So those parts aren't going to get loved by those other people, and they're not going to get loved by you either. You're hiding them. You don't think that they're good enough to show, and you're more worried about how other people feel and think about it than about how you feel and think about it. And this is what codependency is trying to control a situation through how you act. And it's so unconscious that most people don't know that they're doing it. So you think that a part of you is not acceptable, so you don't show that part to try to control the other person and manipulate them into accepting you, thinking that they can't possibly accept you for who you really are, but actually they can't really accept you for who you're not, because then they're not accepting you. Hi, babe. Welcome. Let's chat. I'm glad you're here. Yes. Hi guys. All right, let's see what this fortune says. So when I went out to eat last night, the server gave me like a handful of fortune cookies. He was like, "Here, put these in your purse." Like somebody's granddad. He was so cute. Yeah. Oh my God. So since I decided to move this, I was normally going to do this talk on Friday, but I decided to move it to Wednesday. I have had so much opportunities between then and now to explore this topic and explore like the shadow work behind it. So I'm really excited to get into this with you guys. Oh my God. Why does this fortune say the nightlife is for you? So I don't know who needs to hear this, but the nightlife is for you. Oh yeah, something about the night that just calls me. And I love going into the shadows and into the darkness. I'm a dark feminine goddess. I'm a dark feminine priestess. And that's not really socially acceptable when you grow up a little brown girl, genius. Everybody like, no, you need to be a good girl. You need to keep that smile. If you cry and you throw a temper tantrum, everybody's like, we don't have time for this. Stop. They do not care. They do not care. I think it's funny. I really feel like this is my audience and my constituency is like, like people look at you and they're like, she's so beautiful, perfect, spoiled little princess. That's not the reality that a lot of us had in our homes. In our homes, we were like freaking Cinderella. And it was like Cinderella, we do this, do that. And never a moment's peace for you to like actually just be like, okay, well, what do I need? So then as a result, what ends up happening is that becomes a lifestyle. I want to scream right now with all my rage. Like I'm so angry. And this is why we've been so angry. One of the reasons why I've been able to like rage and like let my rage out so much and publicly and still have clients is because my clients want to do that too. And they see in me that what they are having in themselves too. Like I am you, you are me. I am a mirror. I am Amira. Amira Barakat al-Baladi, my other name, because I'm a goddess of many names, because I acknowledge that I contain multitudes and so do you. And if you want to put different names to those different parts of you, you can and you're entitled to. And people that know you will know, like they'll notice when you switch between different personalities. That's why you need people and you need to be yourself with people so that they know who you are. So then they know when you're not being yourself. Because what's going to happen is if you show up as that fake ass representative that serves them and benefits them at the expense of yourself, they're going to always expect you to be that person. And when you show another side of you, they're not going to like it and they're not going to reciprocate. And this is why a lot of people have that experience of like, how come I do this for everybody and I show up for everybody and I give to them and I give to them and they don't give it back to me? Because they never had the capacity to reciprocate what you offer in the first place. And you know the difference between someone who can reciprocate and someone who can't. And the people who can reciprocate are few and far between, and they're also highly in demand. So you have to respect their time and their energy. And you can't play those same little codependent little girl games, little succubus demon games with them that you might play with everybody else. It could potentially really hurt their heart and hurt their spirit. And at the end of the day, what are you going to do if the person that you depend on to replenish your light and your love has a damaged heart and a damaged spirit caused by you and your actions towards them? Nobody wants that. Nobody wants to experience that on either side. And what we're finding is that in our relationships, we're mirroring each other. So anything you're experiencing from another person, you're likely creating. That is the real mind. That's the real mind. Like I created this by my unconscious expectations. So this is where we're going to break it down. Okay, so now we digging into the wound. This is what I like to do. We're going to dig into the wound. We're going to dig into the wound. This correlates with autoimmune illness and food sensitivities, allergies, and any type of sensitivities that's going on. Because for a lot of the collective, you may have been experiencing bloating actually whenever you eat or drink anything, no matter what it is, and especially water. So putting a little salt in your water will help. Side note, this is not medical advice. I can see into the body in magical ways. So you might put a little salt water and lime in your water and help you absorb it more, because what's happening is that it's that foreign substance that's hitting your lining of your stomach and lining of your organs, and it's irritating them. And it's not because it's an irritant, it's because you're overly sensitive. So take this for those that it resonates for, and let me know in the chat if this is resonating for you. This is a live stream so that we can have a reciprocal conversation. So don't feel like you have to wait for me to ask or for a pause in the conversation for you to share. Just go ahead. The chat is open for you. You could spam the chat. Like you could say, because part of this talk, this thing that I do with you guys where I'm talking to you, is opening up the throat chakra, speaking and listening. And that opens up your heart too, because you're letting things off of your chest and you're letting yourself feel more. So we really want to get in touch with how we feel, because we know more so what we think. And even sometimes we might be confused about that, but we really, really want to see how we feel. So sometimes what the irritation is coming from the hypersensitivity, because there's an unconscious expectation already that any stimuli and any touch or anybody coming in or anybody coming at you is gonna hurt you. And this is formed in childhood. This is why I talk so much about changing our shapes and becoming a puzzle piece, not the same puzzle piece that fits into the old experience, but changing your shape completely so that you can fit into a new experience. Because what you are experiencing, you created, and you have total responsibility for that. And that is hard for a lot of people to hear. Victimhood consciousness is very real, and the purity and the sensitivity of the victim is beautiful. The person that's been harmed, that needs help, that is vulnerable enough to ask for it and even cry and wallow and be in pain, is a beautiful aspect of ourselves, because that is a level of sensitivity and feeling that we don't get anywhere else but in these human vessels. So to go all into that feeling is beautiful, but then where do you go when you come out of it? And that's the pathway that I provide to the people that I work with, is that pathway out of victimhood consciousness, going through that purity portal, the purification process of having nothing left to give and needing everything from everyone else, needing others to give to you and having no way to give back because you need help, and you can't help when you need help. And unfortunately, the way that a lot of us was raised is that we didn't get help until we helped. Then look at the pipeline from that childhood to coaching, to healing, to becoming somebody that works in nonprofits or that's a social worker or works in the helping professions. You are in the helping professions because that is who you are. You are that. It's not that that's your job, it's that's who you are. So no wonder if it was easy for you to go that path, no wonder, because it's who you are. And if they would have looked at your birth chart when you were born, they would have already known. No wonder you went into sex work when you grew up being forced to provide emotional and sexual labor to other people in order to have a place in your family. And that's what a lot of people don't want to talk about. You see a beautiful woman and you don't want to know about the pain that's behind that beauty because you can't handle it. You can't handle the truth. And you want to live in your delusions about what beauty is. Beauty is pain. Beauty is death. Beauty is trials and tribulations. And these are your trials. When you are in a trial, you are being tested and you are being judged to see, do you pass or fail? Are you affirmed or are you denied? When you have nothing left to give, don't give no more than. You're going to hurt yourself. Just calm down. Even if you just hurt your own feelings, that's bad enough. Okay? Hurting someone else's feelings is bad enough. Feelings matter. So let's look at what you guys are talking about in the chat. Hi. I need this convo right now for sure. I just quit eating dairy recently because I was so fucking bloated. Okay, is it helping? I've heard that from a few people also. I feel like this way hard, like I have nothing left to give. Yeah. So one of the things I've been able to learn through my work is like all different aspects of toxic femininity and toxic mothering, because not only do I like do my own healing process and work with myself throughout my own life, but I also work with so many other people, people who are moms, who are sex workers, who are caregivers, who care for elders, who are wives, who are polyamorous lovers. Like I work with people who are those go-to people, the people that are like, I don't have people, I'm the people that people have, is the women that I work with primarily. And I've been telling you guys that I'm feeling drawn to opening up my work to more men too. And I've had more men that have been coming to me and showing interest in my work. And so I'm not exactly sure what capacity or how it's gonna work, but I'm really open, and I feel that it'll be a really good balance of energies for us to not get so like drowned in the feminine yin energy and the emotional energy, but to have like more like structure and the things that men naturally bring to a space that changes how we engage in this space also. um, so you're saying yes, it has helped to cut down on dairy. So this is really interesting. You got to eat what you need. This is another aspect of shadow work and codependency, is your food. Your food, like any food trauma from childhood. She said, yay, I'd love our men to join in. I would love that too. Yeah, a few people have asked about inviting their partners in, and I think that would be really great. I have some updates for you guys on my some changes that I'm making to Root Lock, my course. So stay tuned for that. I'm really excited. Like, yeah, it's like funny because the space tends to be so girly, but I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing. And I feel like it would actually I feel like it would be very healing for us to be seen in that and to get to play in that way with men there also. Because I personally come from a culture that is very segregated. Men and women are separated. You don't mix them. But then that's my upbringing. But then I've grown up and spent my life, in mixed environments. And one of the things that happens in the mixed environments is that there's like an emasculation of men and a masculinization of women. So, one of the big issues with that is the feminine rage demon. Can we talk about the feminine rage demon, you guys? Okay, so like for me personally, as an example, I am the oldest daughter in my family. My structure, like the masculine containment in my family, was very wounded. I never felt supported. I always felt like I was the supporter, even like at a very young age, and I was used for supporting my family in ways that no child should be. But yet if you look at my birth chart and you look at who I am, it's who I am. Like it made me who I am. And I came here, if you look at my birth chart, you'll see like this child is a gifted sex priestess. I said this before, and I've been working as a sex priestess from a very young age. And that's not really normal in our society to openly talk about it. And the only open conversation we can really ever have is like how to catch a predator, and these evil people should be put behind bars. But how do you get into the conversation of actually like, this is my family and I love them unconditionally, no matter what they put me through, and no matter what I had to sacrifice for them, I was happy to do it because it was my job. Then what it creates is that because of that, this is why it's a generational curse. Because of that, being put in that position and holding that certain space so that I'm holding the container, I learned a certain style of communication and a certain style of relating and a certain way of keeping me safe, which is that I hold the container, I hold the space, I run things. Okay. But that doesn't work in a healthy relationship. Especially not a healthy relationship between a feminine woman and a masculine man. Because a healthy relationship as a feminine energy being entails not controlling the situation. And what you can tell you're controlling the situation if you have a really bad reaction, if you don't get what you want, and you set things up to where you want to teach the other person a lesson and make sure that they don't do it again. That all that control is a lot of what creates that sensitivity in the body that leads to like bloating and leads to like chronic pelvic pain, chronic pain, IBS, and different disorders that are going on in the gut and in the womb. Okay, so let's just take a moment to breathe into that. This is how we actually reverse illness, through our conversations and through our energy work. Because we start to find the roots of the illness and what they come from. And then we have the ability to do something about it. She said, "Hi, I'm so happy to catch a live. Yay, me too. Boo, I'm glad you're here. I love you." Yeah. So this is cool because I know the majority of y'all that are that are on live with me right now. So please, please, definitely, like, I really invite you to share vulnerably and ask any questions that you have. And it's okay if you don't want to or you don't feel safe. It's totally understandable. It's been a crazy couple of days. Yeah. And it will be. It will be. So the portal that we're all in together right now is one of massive transformation, and it is divine feminine uprising. Um, but it's not the uprising that a lot of people might think that it is. It's actually like a resting phase. Like, you may be really tempted to like overdo it, and it's just not time right now to overdo anything except for your own self-care. Focusing on yourself, your business. So I also want to invite you guys to share anything that has to do with your work, your feminine energy, feeling like how can you stay in your receiving energy versus like overdoing it when you have work and you have things that you want to do. And the reason why we're talking about this is so that we can start to like create a supportive environment for ourselves to have diverse interests that really serve us outside of our relationships. Like, of course, everything is a relationship. You know, your clients and the people that you work with, your colleagues, those are all relationships, not just intimate relationships or family relationships. But I want us to like explore a little bit more about like the different people that we are in different places and the different personalities that we adopt in different places. So, for example, I'm the oldest daughter. I'm caring for younger siblings, so I get acclimated to a certain way of communication, of telling people what to do, of like yelling at them or punishing them when it's wrong because I'm the one in charge. But I'm in charge. I'm given responsibilities that I'm too young to have, and I don't know how to have those responsibilities. But so I establish a style of being. This is where the shadow work comes in, because you could just sit there and say, well, this is just the way that I am. Deal with it, or don't deal with me. But we see that don't work, okay? Because what if they can't deal with it? What if they can't deal with it? Then, so what you gonna do? You're gonna go on to the next person, have the same problem, and the next person, the same problem, and not get what you want. And the pattern as it repeats does not end well for us, okay? As women, it does not end well for us if we don't do something to address it as early as possible. I'm really proud of all my clients and all the people out there that have broken these curses and that have been able to like let yourself receive and let yourself be at peace and at ease with receiving, because it's not easy. She says, I was only daughter and taking care of an alcoholic father. So that's the way I tend to communicate by design. So go ahead and say more. Like, what is that way that, how does that make you communicate? I think if you learn that like, I think if you learn that no one's going to be accountable to your needs, then that becomes an unconscious expectation that no one is going to be accountable to your needs. And that's one of the ways that we create situations in our lives in which no one is accountable to our needs, because it's what we already believe and we won't be able to see it. So even if it is in our line of sight where there's someone who is or would be accountable to our needs, we don't believe in it, so we can't see it. And we treat it as if the person's not going to be accountable to our needs. So instead of being able to like vulnerably allow that, we just don't believe in it, and so we feel like we have to control the situation to get what we need or what we want out of it. So that's where the codependency comes in. Yeah, so that's where the codependency comes in, is that so that we feel that, okay, so since my needs aren't going to get met when I just vulnerably share them, I have to do something to make sure that my needs get met. Like I have to make sure that I'm the most important person in this person's life. I have to make sure that they need me, that they're, whether like I'm financially supporting them or I'm always there when they call, or I always come running whenever they need me, even if I haven't heard from them in weeks. She's saying like that nothing I say is heard or understood. So it's like, what's the point of even communicating if I'm not being heard or even understood? So that will cause a withdrawal. And stuff like that, when it happens to us over time, it creates opposite energy flow of how the energy, like the energy might be supposed to flow one way, but it's reversed and floating the other way. And then that causes illness in the body because we're holding too much. So this is where the codependency comes in. So what tend to happen is that okay, so I'm not being heard, I'm not being listened to, nobody's there for me. What's the next thing that a woman does in that situation all the time? You guys tell me. I'm going to wait for your answers. What's the next thing that a woman does when she feels like no one cares and no one's there for her and she doesn't have anybody and no one's listening and no one wants to be around her? Please say it. Don't make me say it, because I'm going to say it and then people are going to be mad. But no, but you guys know, she gets pregnant. That the next thing, she gets pregnant, right? She gets pregnant in a vulnerable position in a young age where she doesn't have adequate support, and she needs a family, she needs love, and so she creates it for herself. Okay, so I said it. Either that or she takes on the role of caring for somebody, whether it's a partner or a friend or in her business. Like she outsources what she needs and gives it to somebody else, essentially. Am I right or am I wrong? I had to emotionally take care of my family, so I felt also that I wasn't heard. Yes, I hear those stories all the time. Yes. So who here had to emotionally caregive for your family when you were growing up? And are you feminine energy or masculine energy? Over controlling in dominance mode. My mother and sister. Yeah, because why is it? What happens when a woman who feels like she doesn't get what she needs has a child? Is that child going to get what they need? My mother, my sister because she was borderline, and my mother because she was over her head with her. So everyone made you their caregiver. They all needed all the attention. They were all the victims. And you didn't have enough problems, so you don't have you're good. You're doing good. You don't have problems, so why can't you help us? That's how they get you stuck in there with them. I'm the emotional caregiver femme. Exactly. Go ahead and hit that like button. Thank you. It really helps my channel. Yes, it does. Helps other people see what I put out there. So raise your hand if you're the emotional caregiver in your family, feminine. But what happens with feminine and masculine energy is like you're born feminine or masculine, and then that's not okay. So you put on, so you're born feminine, but your family needs you to do all this labor. So then you become masculine, but then you realize that they want you to be pretty and girly too. So then you put on the feminine mask over the masculine mask, and then you realize that everybody's trying to hurt you and molest you and rape you all the time, so then you put the masculine armor over that, and then you realize that you need to look pretty to attract a man or whoever. You need to look pretty in society to get what you need, so then you put the feminine mask over that, but then you realize that just people more want to take advantage of you and you have no good boundaries or support or structure to keep them away, so you put the masculine mask over that, so now you have mask on mask on mask on mask, and we don't even know who we are anymore, and we're so disconnected from the natural essence of who we are because it's been warped into all these personalities that we created to cope with extreme situations that were extremely traumatic. So as the masks come off, as the trauma gets uncovered, the masks come off. Everybody's saying, yep, exactly. LOL. Yes. You feeling it, huh? Okay, let's keep going. Let's keep going, y'all. You guys don't make my clients be the only ones in here talking, but that's okay because they're my clients and I love them, so we get to talk right now. So we work together for a reason. Like the reason why my clients work with me is because the way that I talk about things, you guys know that I can help you with the things that you're dealing with because this is my life. And if you look at me now, I'm 39 years old. In the last 20 years, from being 19 and officially being a grown up to now, I just grew up. I just became a grown up. I was stunted because what happens when you don't receive what you need and you don't have proper support going through these different stages of life is that you stay stunted in one stage. And typically you stay stunted in stages and ages where you have the most trauma. And again, these are the different parts of us. So I encourage you guys to invite all parts of you to this conversation, whatever parts they may be, whether that's the scared little girl or scared little boy, whether that's the person that just wants their mommy or just wants their daddy, whether it's the person who's getting revenge and happy about it. And this is the feminine rage demon we're going to talk about. She's different than a succubus. She's way worse. I am a specialist in working with sex workers and survivors, so I am very familiar with all these different types of demonic energies and entity attachments and things that we deal with in this realm. And a lot of people think that that's just their personality, but really it's an entity that's not even them. And you'll never even know your true personality until you purge these entities, until you get right with the spirit within you. And depending on who you are and what you've been through, that may take a lot of effort. And if you're here, it may take a lot of effort. Even if your previous generations have done a lot to get you where you are, you still have your job too. So, do you guys understand the correlation between shadow work and codependency? And do you understand why we're tying it into relationships and to feminine energy and masculine energy? Let me know. And if there's something that you guys want to make sure we talk about before we get off this call, let me know, because we have about 15 minutes left. So I want to go deeper with the codependency aspect and the feminine rage demon. So, like, for example, say that a man that I'm dating is like, oh, like make some certain plans with me, and I'm really excited about the plans, and then something goes wrong and we're not able to do the plans, and I'm like extremely angry. I'm like extremely angry, okay? So on the codependent side, like if I'm expressing my anger to him, as far as like, I have to look at it, right? Like, what am I angry about? This is why we have to get in touch with our feelings. And if you've been masculinized, you probably have been disconnected from your feelings because you were told that they were too much, and no one ever held space for them. But they're not too much. They're natural and they're beautiful and they're part of who you are. The only reason why they feel like too much is because the people that you loved most and that you needed most didn't have space for them when you needed that. So what happens in those moments where you get disappointed by your partner or by someone you're dating or anybody in life, and your rage, your feminine rage starts to surface, and you want to go off on this person and just make them feel like they don't even want to live anymore. Like, life isn't worth living if they don't give you what you want right now and keep you happy. But you were already angry inside. It wasn't even about what they did. They just triggered you and gave you the opportunity to feel it. So at that moment, it's really important to assess the situation and prioritize releasing that anger and not just passing it off to somebody else and making someone else a target for it when they don't even really have anything to do with where it comes from. This is the shadow work. This is the shadow work, because a lot of people spend their lives just projecting everything outside, and it doesn't even have anything to do with them. It's already coming from the inside. You were already angry. You were already disappointed. You were already hopeless. You already felt like everyone's going to let you down. And they just proved it, and there's nothing you can do to change how you feel except to feel it. Because once you feel it, then it's gone. You feel it. And there's a difference between feeling your emotions and being milked for your emotions. And this is a really important distinction to get into with my constituency, is because if you're dealing with any type of jinn possession or any type of entity attachments or curses, black magic curses that are ancient, because for a lot of us, we are global third worlds baddies. And so, yes, curses are real. Yes, people really do that back in the village, and they still really do it back to this day. So a lot of people think, oh, I don't believe in that stuff, it can't affect me. Okay. The entire system is based on these things. So we definitely give them the reverence that they deserve and the respect that they deserve. So if you're dealing with anything like this, like, it may hinder you in being able to have healthy interdependency. The difference between codependency and interdependency, we depend on one another. We are in a reciprocal relationship. So that, for example, that looks like a friend who hits you up when she's feeling down or when she's feeling upset, and you guys talk and you both feel better at the end of it. And then you not feeling too good and you go to her and you like, you can do the same thing with her. Okay. And then you guys can both talk and you can both feel better afterwards, and you understand the boundaries of your relationship and you respect the boundaries of the relationship. Versus codependency is a friend that hits you up and just dumps on you, and you feel like shit afterwards. And then when you have a problem and you call her, you can't get a hold of her. But next time she hits you up, you're in a really low place and you're just like, sure. you don't hold her accountable and say like, you can't do this no more, because you need something from her, which is like to know that you're not alone. Okay. So that's the distinction. And it doesn't mean that if you have a friendship like that it can't become an interdependent relationship, but that really depends on you, and it depends on what you're willing to open yourself up to feel. Okay. She said, yeah, Ruby is my femme rage aspect. Yes, I see the correlation between shadow and codependency. I know that feeling, LOL. I've never been good at expressing anger. It usually gets expressed through substance abuse or debilitating sadness. And a lot of times anger is sadness. That the root of it is grief, it's sadness, it's feeling sad, but sometimes it's really angry. And then you really want to find what the root of it is, because a lot of time our feminine rage is really old, and it's not our partner's fault. Like, it's not him that we're mad at or her that we're mad at or whoever. We're mad at something that's very old that happened a long time ago. Letting ourselves feel it, that's how we get it out. And so this is the really important aspect of communication, is like letting people feel safe enough with you to support you through whatever you feel, and being able to express it to them in a way that they can actually hold the space for you, instead of like feeling like they're not safe to do so. And yeah, we can consciously, intellectually, think we understand all these things, but it's very different when it's placed into practice. That's why you can't heal your relationships by not having them. You have to have relationships with the people that are there for you right now. And you have to be fully in it and fully experience it. And don't check out. And this is another thing that I wanted to bring up, which is the twin flame mind control. Because the twin flame mind control is a way that a lot of people bypass this shadow work that is needed to heal codependency. Because the twin flame dynamic, where these are twin flame mind control dynamics where one person thinks that they're in love with another person who they don't have any type of connection with, but they stay focused on that person. They focus their energy on that person, and their energy is typically getting sucked from them, either by that person, like an entity that is attached to that person or that is that person, or by an outside entity that's intercepting that energy. And the same with your emotional energy too, when it comes to like feeling angry or feeling sad, and when I said earlier, like, you need to feel your feelings in order to move through them. But if you feel them and you're not moving through them, it's likely also an energy drain, where something outside of you is feeding on that emotional energy. Something outside of you is feeding on that romantic intimacy, or like whatever you're feeling for a person, that you're using that person to bypass the very real issues in your life that need to be addressed, because that feels safer. It feels a lot safer for a lot of people to have a fantasy relationship. This is why twin flame mind control has the spiritual feminine community in a chokehold right now. In a chokehold. And men too. Like, so let me start this by saying, like, anybody watching this that thinks I'm your twin flame, I'm not. Unless you're one person that I'm fucking obsessed with. But don't let me be that person if it's not you. If it's not you, don't let these demons punk you. Don't let these demons fucking punk you. Because they will, and they'll laugh about it to all their friends. And they'll invite all their friends to jump in and party in you too. They'd be like, "Ooh, she got some good energy." Don't you know demons love? I was gonna say, don't you know fairy? No, what was I gonna say? Don't you know? Don't you know vampires love fairy blood? Don't y'all know vampires love fairy blood? If you're an empath, if you're literally an empath and you can literally feel things from other people, you are prized. You are a prized possession. You are a prized possession as a wife. Do you know what all you can do? So when people say like, why are you single or why aren't you married or something, they see you as a beautiful woman. Like, this is for my single baddies. They see you as a beautiful woman and they think you're so radiant, you're so beautiful. Why aren't you wiped up? If that's something you want and it's something that you don't have, there's probably a reason why. So it's either that you're not ready for what you want and you don't believe that you deserve what you actually deserve. So you need to like wait until you do. Or there could be curses blocking it. You may need to do some intensive uncrossing and cord clearing and possibly curse breaking to get those off of you. Because what happens is if you're divine, if you come from a divine lineage, you're going to create a sacred child. And it is sacred to have a son as your first child. Not that it's any less sacred to have a daughter, but often having a daughter first is indicative of a generational curse because the daughter then has to create this masculine containment. Whereas if the brother comes first, he creates the masculine containment. But unfortunately, in a lot of families, even if the brother does come first, men are already emasculated in that family. So he still doesn't create that masculine containment for his younger siblings. So what's happening for a lot of my collective right now is that you're like healing that energy within you to bring forth a son, or if you already have a son, to bring forth a daughter, because the gender of the child that you bring through is the energy that you need to heal the most and the energy that you most need around you. So if you have a daughter, it's because you need feminine energy and you need to love that about yourself too. And if you have a son, it's because you need masculine energy and you need to love that about yourself too. Okay. And if you have twins, it's because God gives his toughest battles to his toughest soldiers. Because that ain't no joke. Got 2 and 1. She said, yep, it takes practice. Oh, yes, I've been susceptible to that twin flame a lot when I was younger, too. That's so true. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, the twin flame mind control will keep a lot of people from doing their shadow work to heal their codependency and keep them from moving past maiden little girl stage to mother / grown ass woman stage. And you don't have to be a mom or a mother to be in that grown ass woman phase. And a lot of our mothers and our grandmothers had never even made it into that grown ass woman phase. They're still little girls. So what's happening for a lot of my collective, the discomfort and the disharmony in relationships right now is because you have to come into your high priestess status. And if that's a challenge for you in any way, that's completely understandable. And there's no reason not to get support. And I have the best support for you, the best program to support you. So talk to me about working with me if you want to get more support. Thank you guys for tuning in. I'm glad that we got the chance to touch base. We're going to go live next week, and I changed the time, so it's going to be Wednesdays at 2 p.m. That way I can meet with you guys before I have my group programs and my client sessions on Thursdays and Fridays. And next week we're going to be talking about OnlyFans and sex worker safety. And we're going to get into the metaphysical aspects of it too. This is going to be a great talk for anybody, whether you're in the industry or not. I think it's going to bring a lot of light to dynamics of being essentially spiritually, creatively gifted, feminine energy centered being on this planet. So I can't wait for that. Thank you. You're welcome. It's someone from my past that's haunting me, and I feel like it has to do with this twin flame thing. So keep exploring that. It's a way to develop unconditional love. If you can love somebody and want what's best for them, even if they're not with you, then that is a beautiful thing. And it breaks down that aspect of ownership within codependency. And another thing that I want to speak to before we get off of this, because I feel like it's highly relevant, is that the attraction between older women and younger men has been coming up a lot. And it's showing a wounded woman. I'm not saying that you can't have, like, whatever, get your freak on, get your groove back. Like, I'm not saying that you can't have a little fun or whatever, but what is showing up in these energy signatures of a lot of these relationships, and even this could also be true for older men and younger women to a degree, but is that need to control the situation and being used to caring for younger siblings, being used to having other people in your care, and not being used to being in the care of anyone else. Okay, same for people that are developing programs. Somebody, like, for example, like me, somebody that I was always way more comfortable holding groups than being part of groups. Okay, so this is part of breaking these things down, and doing this shadow work is like letting yourself be held, letting yourself be supported, letting yourself like be with someone who's not your norm, or trying things that are new, letting more of your needs get met, and letting more of your feelings get expressed, and not trying to control other people to create that environment in which that can happen in, because it could happen anywhere at any time with anyone you don't know. And to limit yourself is to limit your life experience, is to limit your future. So we're not doing that anymore. So thanks for tuning in, healers. Make sure you like, share, subscribe, say mashallah, tell a friend to tell a friend, and stay tuned. Peace.